gone viral. When I say viral, I mean just the tweet alone had over 100,000 retweets and 45 million impressions on X alone, okay? This would be your unique opportunity as the French first man to prove your case about Candace to the public, right? In the court of public opinion. This would be your time to slam dunk. Remember, the French couple has been so psychotically obsessed with trying to paint me as conflicted in my reporting that they even hired a private investigator to try to see if I was colluding with other state actors. You know, they kind of gloriously insinuated that I might be working with Russia. They paid for that. They paid for that investigation. So using that logic, wouldn't this be the opportunity, if you're the French couple, to come out and to prove your point, to make a stunning and a swift statement, right? We are shocked by the accusation. Of course, never in a million years. Oh, we told you guys, this is just for clicks, it's for money. This is beyond anything we've ever heard. I hope Candace gets well soon. That would be what I would say you should do if I'm advising you from a PR standpoint, right? In American basketball terms, this is like a flagrant foul, and you now get some free throws, right? If you're the French couple, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, investigative fees, and PR fees in a country on the other side of the Atlantic, trying desperately to paint me as a lunatic, and I give you the opportunity to spike the ball to prove that I'm a lunatic, and you don't do it? No, they didn't do it, did they? If you're paying attention, they did not do it. Of course, they send out the people on Twitter who get to come out and say, oh, I think she's crazy. I think she's making it up. They do this. We are always doing this every week. Oh, Trump never called her about Brigitte Macron. She's making that up for attention. Oh, she's lying. Charlie Kirk never changed his mind about Israel. She's making that up for attention. This is what we do every week, right? We're hamsters on a wheel. And so we're back.
No, we don't do that for Jazz. Jazz, we appreciate her here. So bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Yeah, we appreciate her. Yeah. Somebody that comes in and stands up for their friend and put it out there, exposes the president. Hey, happy holidays, same to you. Yeah, we respect that. Yeah. She is standing in the gap also for victims, kids. So if you don't understand, this may not be the place for you. Yeah, we're going to support her and back her in this regard. Do that mean we believe everything? No. But right now, what she's standing for, we understand. So respectfully, I removed your comment, giving you the opportunity to go ahead and back out. Okay? Thank you.
To that again, right? People saying that I made it up. But what did the French couple do? That's what matters. It's now been a full week since I made that announcement.
He would have been forgotten
Here's
about.
the official
and
response
has she not
issued
stood in
by
the
the
place? Let's be clear. The details that we do have, we have because of her, not because of Cash Patel, not because of Turning Point USA, not because of Eric Trump, not because of Erica Kirk, not because of anybody but her. Yeah. Facts that she has brought, and there's some narratives that she has debunked. And guess what? She didn't do it behind the scenes. She did it in front. You know, she put it on the table for everybody to see. So now I respect that. She's not lying. She's not funneling money. She's not dealing with the military, Qatar. She's not dealing with CIA. There's several snipers on the roof with military. She's not doing any of that. She's not the security that never, ever returned fire, that never even attempted to see if that was still a threat or not. She was not the one who carried him to the SUV and just sat there for a while. because the other friend was sitting up there hiding and doing a selfie live. Yeah, no, we choose Candace. Yeah, we choose her, and appreciate that she's taking us along with her as she uncovers it. And then we pray for her because she was doing such a good job in connecting dots, and we love to connect dots over here. Yeah, we recognize connecting dots. She was doing such a great job at it that they sent out a hitman or two. By way of other foreign countries. So yeah, no, we're not gonna do that to Candace. Yeah, we're gonna validate her. We're not gonna tear her down. Okay, let's go, Candace. And again, thank you for, going the extra mile, girl. We understood if you would have chilled, but like the guy who said, you are kind of stubborn. So we knew you was coming one way or another. So shout out to Candace.
I'll do it. No, they didn't do it, did they? If you're paying attention, they did not do it. Of course, they send out the people on Twitter who get to come out and say, oh, I think she's crazy. I think she's making it up. They do this. We are always doing this every week. Oh, Trump never called her about Brigitte Macron. She's making that up for attention. Oh, she's lying. Charlie Kirk never changed his mind about Israel. She's making that up for attention. This is what
Absolutely.
We do every week, right? We're hamsters on a wheel. And so we're back to that again.
Sweeping
right?
it under the
rug. Made it up. But what did the French couple do? That's what matters. It's now been a full week since I made that announcement. And here is the official response issued by the Élysée Palace. Nothing. I want you to bear in mind that this was front page global news.
The what?
It's now been a full week since I made that announcement. And here is the official response issued by the Élysée Palace. Nothing. I want you to bear in mind that this was front page global news from the United States to Russia. And I publicly challenged the Candace is making everything up crowd to prove it. Press the White House for a response, right? The White House, the United States to Russia. And I publicly challenged the Candace is making everything up crowd to prove it. Press the White House for a response, right? The White House the ball's very firmly in their court. And a week later, this is the official White House response.
The tech legend who's been right about everything from LinkedIn to AI.
So you mean Trump, White House ain't responding? And she, what? Trump and dumped Trump now?
That, you guys. Ball's very firmly in their court. And a week later, this is the official White House response. So what are we to make of that, you guys? Did I report it to the White House? Of course I reported it to the White House. Did I report it to the FBI? Of course I reported it to the FBI. Did I report it to our counterterrorism unit? Of course I reported it, because I'm telling you there's a paper trail. Common sense. You think I'm just doing that because I'm assuming you could get a felony for making something up out of thin air like that? You can't just use United States resources to go after somebody in a plot that never existed that you did for clicks on YouTube.
Lisa, did you just hear anything I said? Lisa, Rono, Defo, Stupo. Did you hear anything I said, Slow Bucket? Now, I said if you have a problem to leave. She has money. She married up. You are a bumette. Yeah, who didn't do well for yourself. She married up. Everybody don't need money. It started out for her friend. You don't know nothing about that. So I asked you to remove yourself. This came out today, Jimmy Duncan. Do some research. Do a little research. Please don't come over deflecting, derailing our show, because I'm going to call you out before I kick you out. And now, if you really want to know, do a little research on your own. Yeah, you derailing. Now, next time, I'm permanently removing.
So what's the issue here? Why is no one coming out and telling you a felony for making something up out of thin air like that? You can't just use United States resources to go after somebody in a plot that never existed that you did for clicks on YouTube. So what's the issue here? Why is no one coming out and telling you that?
Because they are part of the plot.
Baseless, especially the Charlie Kirk assassination. The whole world is invested in that assassination. Wouldn't you want to shut that down? The idea that it was a multinationally planned event. And by the way, is that on its face even plausible? Multiple agencies and multiple countries involved, from Egypt to Israel. People are saying that's totally crazy.
That's a problem.
No, it's the lone shooter who had never been on campus, who climbed the roofs like Spider-Man, happened to know where Charlie would be sitting and hit that shot in 4 seconds. Is it plausible that that's not the truth? Of course it's plausible.
Absolutely.
Anyone who knows anything about the French government probably knows that they have an appetite for cruelty and sexual deviancy. Anybody who has made it through the first couple of episodes of Becoming Brigitte knows that the French government has an appetite for cruelty and sexual deviancy, okay? LOL, the city of romance, really? Romance with who, exactly? That's one of the broader points of the Becoming Brigitte series. And so I'd like to thank Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, for being one of the first people to stick out his neck immediately and to assert what the entire world already knows about France. Here's what he said. He said, after reviewing everything Charlie Kirk has ever said about Macron's France, I find Candace's information about French involvement in his death entirely plausible. Charlie even called for 300% tariffs on France until the charges against me were dropped. And I also would like to shout out Freddie Ponton, who wrote this article reminding people, and when I say reminding, I mean teaching people, if you're me, because I didn't know this, that exactly this satellite of countries, France, Israel, the French Legion, United States, Egypt, were quite literally involved in exactly this sort of operation, which further reaching global implications, involving the Safari Club in Egypt. Now, if you haven't heard of that, this was the article that he wrote, passed as prologue, Safari Club illuminates Candace Owens' allegations. I had never heard of this. I really hadn't, okay? Because I feel like I'm Alice in Wonderland. A few years ago, I kind of believed everything the government said. I thought they were good guys. And after the Charlie Kirk assassination, I'm going, oh, wait, no. These aren't, nobody is a good guy. These are like gangs that are running the world, obviously. Gangs that have gone mainstream.
And blinders off.
And the idea of a republic is just an illusion. Well, anyways, in that article,
I totally agree.
But he said,
since Charlie Kirk's assassination, blinders off. Being naive, no. Moving and walking and just floating around like la la land, like it is what it is. It's just a regular day. No. What you see is what you get. No. All the smoke on the mirror is being wiped away. Yeah. What is the message behind the smoke? Yeah. Everything has changed since then. I totally agree. Walking around the way we used to, no. Believing in government, oh, hell no. Hell no.
No, these aren't, nobody is a good guy. These are like gangs that are running the world, obviously. Gangs that have gone mainstream, and democracy and the idea of a republic is just an illusion. Well, anyways, in that article, I'm only going to read a paragraph from it, but he said, when Candace Owens claimed on X that a high-ranking French government insider warned her of an imminent plot to have her assassinated, alleging that President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte had authorized and financed the operation, assigning it to a small national gendarmerie intervention group team that included an Israeli operative, She also suggested that
I
Charlie Kirk's
agree.
assassin trained for the
Of
French
like
Legion
that.
with multi-state
Be like
involvement.
that.
The claim sounded like it belonged to the realm of conspiracy thrillers, and yet, as the allegation ricocheted across social media, something unusual happened. People did not instinctively laugh it off. Some dismissed it, yes, but many hesitated, paused, or quietly admitted that given the right circumstances, given the right network of covert actors, such a plot didn't feel entirely impossible. That hesitation doesn't come from trust in Owens, it comes from history. And sure enough, and I'm just pulling up the Wikipedia page here, you should go read that article in its entirety, but the Safari Club, man, covert alliance of intelligence services formed in 1976 that ran operations around Africa when the United States Congress had limited the power of the CIA after years of abuses. They decided to kind of go overseas to handle business. They had members in pre-revolutionary Iran, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and France. Israel's involved, Rhodesia, South Africa. I mean, it tells you there that the processes then resulted in the 1979 Egypt-Israel peace treaty. Peace. Okay, cool. Like I said, read more about that. Now, in terms of formal replies that we received from government structures, the only department that we did hear back, well, first let me say, I did not at all hear back from the FBI on the American side.
Okay,
I did hear back from the counterterrorism.
Somebody mentioned earlier that they would be pissed off if to know that Kash Patel made no attempt. He flying on the U.S. Plane, jet, or whatever it was, on our dime. He using our Secret Service for his personal use for his girlfriend, country singer. Cause I guess she's a star. I guess I don't know. Yeah, she's a rhinestone cowgirl. Yeah, her. Yeah. He did nothing. Just like he didn't do anything, not anything, anything. Yeah, thing. Yeah, you have to put your head to the side. Thing for Charlie Kirk. Okay? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah, I mean, she is very aware of what's going on. And she says that she is letting God defeat the devil. And she is standing up for her friend, and she is trusting in the Lord. She is, in other words, she's saying she is going to rebuke the devil in the name of Jesus and put her armor on. Yeah. It's pretty much what she's saying. Yeah, yea, do you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Y'all remember that? I mean, we could say what we want to say about Candace Owens, and I have said it before. I never looked at her, would have never gave her an ounce of respect in her views. But when I tell you, all I hear is when the word says of the renewing of the mind, and she has a renewed mind, and she is standing up for God and His word and His righteousness, and she is standing in the gap for her friend. I have said it once. I have said it on several occasions. We should all pray and desire and wish to have a friend, even that have 70% of Candace in them, that would sacrifice their life for themselves and their friends. Yeah. But this is what happens when you let go of Satan, leave the cult, leave, I guess, the Zionist movement, remove yourself from Trump, and pro-Israel, when you remove yourself from the devil and you have a renewed mind and you use the same energy and intellect as you did for the devil for God, this is what you get. This is what you get. The same thing she gave us for the devil, she's given to them for God. And Lord, we thank you. And I know that you are a protector and you will protect her. Just trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your understanding. Acknowledge him in all our ways and he will direct her path. I pray that he is directing her, protecting and guiding. She knows what's at stake. If she do have a husband, I don't know him. Yeah, and I hope she's in there by herself. But I do think she is taking heed to warning, and she's not going to allow them to scare her away from her mission, because she knows more than we know. Yeah, I mean, there's a way to say he found out too late. Well, I think there's a chance that he found out in time enough to denounce the devil. And we were able to see that, as much as he stood in the paint for the devil in his views, when the light bulb came on, when he learned of the truth, returned to truth, he denounced him. Because we all got a time. We have a time to be born, and we have a time to return to the Father. No one on earth leaves before their time. Now, I know we, the humans that are here, who don't know our beginning, nor will we know our end. It looks and feel a particular way. But again, may we all remember that we are on earth not for our purpose or our plan, but for God's will, his way. Put all questions on Super Chat or Super Stickers. Please, Cindy. Thank you. Yeah, let's go.
Unit, I did hear back from the White House confirming that message had been delivered on Trump's desk.
So Trump
Well,
denied
first let me
it.
say, I did not at all hear back from the FBI on the American side. I did hear back from the counterterrorism unit. I did hear back from the White House confirming that message had been delivered on Trump's desk.
Wow.
Me saying that I had the information. I guess he didn't want to inquire further, which is interesting. But the FBI left me on red. And I will say I didn't go through an official channel and send an email, and I should do that. But I did send a text message to somebody very high up who received the text message.
Well, hold your questions then, when you can
Now,
support the platform.
I thought that the
From my
claim
research.
of the French Foreign Legion being involved in Charlie's assassination, I thought the FBI might be interested. No phone calls even from Utah's FBI branch have come into me either. Wouldn't you want to see?
Hold on.
I did hear back from the counterterrorism unit. I did hear back from the White House confirming that message had been hear back. Well, first let me say I did not at all hear back from the FBI on the American side. I did hear back from the counterterrorism unit. I did hear back from the White House confirming that message had been delivered on Trump's desk. Me saying that I had the information. I guess he didn't want to inquire further, which is interesting. But the FBI left me on red. And I will say I didn't go through an official channel and send an email, and I should do that. but I did send a text message to somebody very high up who received the text.
Cindy, Precious, did you not hear me? Cindy, did you not hear me say put it on a super chat, a super sticker? You said that you didn't, you know, you was broke, and I said, okay, well, ask the questions when you're able to contribute to the platform. Yeah. You know, you want me to do research for you, but you don't want to support. That's not how that works. I'll answer one or two, but you keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. Support my platform. Okay? Like, share, subscribe, join a membership. I mean, you know, do something. Instead of wanting my responses. Come on now. Come back tomorrow when you have some money. Okay? Come back. I don't like how you moving. I don't like how you moving.
Text message, no response. Now, I thought that the claim of the French Foreign Legion being involved in Charles left me on red. And I will say I didn't go through an official channel and send an email, and I should do that. But I did send a text message to somebody very high up who received the text message. No response. Now, I thought that the claim of the French Foreign Legion being involved in Charlie's assassination, I thought the FBI might be interested. No phone calls even from Utah's FBI branch have come into me either. Wouldn't you want to see? Aren't we supposed to be investigating the Charlie Kirk assassination? It was totally not a state operation, and they really want to get to the truth, which explains why nobody called. No, Utah, not interested. I'm actually surprised Tyler Robinson's lawyer hasn't reached out to me. What's going on here?
If you have SNAP or Medicaid, you may qualify for a free iPhone or Samsung, plus up to 10 gigabytes of data.
Ooh-wee.
Well, we've got to protect the patsy, right? We've got to protect the patsy in this situation. It reached out to me. What's going on here? Well, we've got to protect the patsy, right? We've got to protect the patsy in this situation. No, Utah, not interested. I'm actually surprised Tyler Robinson's lawyer hasn't reached out to me.
She said that.
What's going on here? Well, we've got to protect the patsy, right? We've got to protect the patsy in this situation. Regarding the only official that we did receive any sort of a public response from, it reads to me like a confession. Let me know if you agree.
Oh, Lord, that's
so I pointed out that interestingly enough, after I began researching the French Legion, I very quickly stumbled upon the fact that they were also involved in a joint operation with American troops in the exact weeks leading up to Charlie's assassination. More specifically, according to the French Foreign Legion website, between August 2nd and August 25th of this year, the Legionnaires from the 4th Company, 2nd Foreign Infantry Regiment, the 6th Light Armored Brigade, were integrated with U.S. Marines of the 6th Marine Regiment for a 3-week training deployment. Okay, that took place in California.
The shooter, the
and then
military,
once that training ended, I said this online. Another
and the trainer was on their roof
immediately. It was a joint exercise with civilians, which included military men from the Minot Air Force Base, and that joint exercise took place in Minnesota at Camp Ripley, and that ran just for a couple of days until August 27th, and that was known as Operation Valhalla. Okay, random 3-day exercise with civilians, and I was wondering.
the same the same CU in Valhalla that Patel said. Wait, what?
Just for a couple of days until August 27th, and that was known as Operation Valhalla. Okay, random 3-day exercise with civilians, and I was wondering if the French Legionnaires that were in California maybe jumped right into activities going on with these civilians at Camp Ripley. But I typoed on X and I wrote Camp Riley. Okay, So I wrote, it's not a coincidence that the French legionnaires were in the United States training with our Marines for 3 weeks. And when those 3 weeks ended in California, another military training exercise began alongside civilians at Camp Riley in Minnesota. Should have said Ripley. Now, you will recall, for those of you who are following the Becoming Brigitte series, that the preferred Macron response is to never address the substance of the claims, but to instead focus on minor details that somebody may get wrong. That's how they've gone after every journalist who has covered the fact that Brigitte Macron was born a male, right? Oopsies, you messed up on this one detail, and now we're going to sue you for defamation. But not, of course, the substance, which is like, hey, you lived as a man for a very long time, and the military won't release your file, and we don't know what you were doing in the military, as Jean-Michel Trogneau. So me making a spelling error was the perfect way for them to attack the broader story, right? The larger story here being, hey, the French legionnaires might have been on the ground during Charlie Kirk's assassination. So what happened is the Minister of the Armed Forces issued the following statement in France, and I'm going to quote this for you. Quote, Tyler Robinson was never part of the French Foreign Legion. If he did not serve in an American military unit, he could not have trained with the French Foreign Legion. End quote. Well, that's quite a way to dance around things. And Charlie Kirk says, I see what you did there. You just missed the fact that we don't think Tyler Robinson did, so you just are issuing a statement. This is bogus. Tyler Robinson never trained in the French Foreign Legion. Do you mind answering yes or no? If anybody who trained with the French Foreign Legion was on the ground on September 10th at Utah Valley University. And we are asking that explicit question because one of the strangest things is that the UVU students who attended said that they felt like they didn't recognize anybody that was there. It was weird. It was very strange that they advertised for this event really late in the day. And then suddenly we see a bunch of adults and people that they don't recognize at this event. And then afterwards, the national media moves to, it looks like they're almost trying not to interview any UVU students, right? They're interviewing everybody around. You got all these adults who were there, but mysteriously, the UVU students who had some interesting tidbits about what was weird that day just don't flood into the mainstream like we expected them to. Can you answer that question? Yes or no? That seems tricky when it comes to the French government. Yes or no questions are not their thing. There in the article, and this is France 24 that reported this, it tells us that, quote, the Ministry of the Armed Forces confirms that a training exercise by the 2nd Foreign Infantry Regiment, the unit of the French Foreign Legion, did indeed take place in California from August 2nd to the 25th, as reported by Candace Owens. However, the exercise announced on the ministry's website and the regiment's Facebook page was not clandestine operation. The Ministry of the Armed Forces formally denies that another Foreign Legion training exercise took place at a supposed Camp Riley in Minnesota after the conclusion of the California exercise, and for good reason, because no Camp Riley exists in Minnesota. As Andy Parrish, the former chief of staff to the Republican state representative, pointed out on X. Oh, there is, however, a Camp Ripley, they go on, but this inaccuracy speaks volumes about the credibility of Candace Owens' alleged source. That's how they're debunking it.
Okay, so we're going to pause for a minute or two or three for y'all to double tap the face of your screen if you're using your phone device to listen in for the tea. Because, baby, one thing is for sure, it's hot. From Donald Trump unzipping Bill Clinton's pants to suck on that pickle. Caught it. Yeah. To Patel and Trump and the Epstein files. Yeah. To Candace Owens came out of hiding, standing in the paint, exposing that the FBI in the U.S. and the president ignored her. So we need for you to double tap the face of your screen. If you're not on your phone device listening in, then hit the three dots at the top right. They're like right up here on your, top right in that corner. Hit that for you and it'll take you to the like screen. But get the likes up if you want me to continue on. On and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. On and then on and on and on. Yeah, come on. Let's go. The quicker y'all double tap, the quicker we can resume. I done had one hell of a night with an alarm going off for almost an hour. Get the likes up. Please. Come on, y'all. Just double tap. It's free. It don't cost nothing. You just touching your phone. I'm not doing it the thing. Nothing comes to me when you tap. You know, I'm not tapping into something. I'm not intelligent. Well, I am intelligent, but I'm not like the CIA. So just double tap. Come on. So we can come on. Because there's a lot of y'all in here coming and going. But y'all not hitting the like button. But y'all asking a lot of questions. You know what I mean? What you asking me for if you don't want to hit the like button? I separated the pickle thing, the pickle gate. So there's already a upload. A clip of that. So I separated it. So if you missed it, just go and check that out. I'm over here working behind the scenes for you. And y'all still taking advantage of the like button with me. So when I shut it down, don't be mad at me. Be mad at yourself, okay?
A typo. I put Riley, not Ripley, and they can now confirm that the French Legion did not take part in any exercise at Camp Riley because it doesn't exist, and Candace Owens is stupid, and so now you should just assume that everything else Source said is debunked. This is what you call a non-debunking debunk, a Snopes level debunking over a typo, okay? And I guess my other allegations should not be answered or even explored. Now, I should mention also that after that civilian military exercise ended...
Okay, so, Sylvia, news flash. I know she married a white guy, but guess what? He really black. Everybody come from the Queen Mother. The Queen of the Earth is a sister. I know you know that. So whether she married a white man, a black man, in color, they all 50 shades of brown. He's just on the very pale tail end of the color brown. Okay? 50, hey Denise, 50 shades of brown. So yes, it looked like her husband in white, but really on the cool, he black too. He just white chocolate. Yeah.
Ended at Camp Ripley on the 27th. Another joint military operation began from August 29th through to September 10th, the day that Charlie was shot. And that was known as Operation Bright Star, and that took place in Cairo, Egypt. Now, it is a biennial joint military operation. It's co-hosted by the United States and Egypt to enhance regional security and to strengthen military partnerships. I just don't love the timing of all of these things. I just don't love France and Egypt and the United States together for the whole month leading up to the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to speculate until we get some answers. Some straight yes or no answers from the White House, from the Élysée Palace, or from the French security forces. Now, as it pertains to the French Legion, something else that's kind of interesting is that they basically gutted and replaced about half of their leadership in mid-August. Check out this article published on August 20th. In 2025, the change of command took
Let's go.
place across 6 regiments. Now, we researched, and look, I'm not a military buff, but we found that they have 12 regiments that are known of, and you're telling me that they gutted leadership of 6? They put in 6 new commanders? Again, I just don't love the timing of all of this. Initially, the idea of French involvement in Charlie's assassination would not have been on my radar.
Did he look like
Now, as
that
it
man?
pertains to the French Legion, something else that's kind of interesting is that they basically gutted and replaced about half of
I'm
their
trying to look
leadership
for the man
in
that was on that
mid-August.
roof.
Check out this article published on August 20th. In 2025, a change of command took place across 6 regiments. Now, we researched, and look, I'm not a military buff, but we found that they have 12 regiments that are known of, and you're telling me that they gutted leadership of 6? They put in 6 new commanders? Again, I just don't love the timing of all of this. Initially, the idea of French involvement in Charlie's assassination would not have been on my radar, okay? Having them at UVU would not have been on my radar at all until we learned about that weird hangar lease in Delaware when we were trying to track the Egyptian plane, SUBTT, our yellow plane.
I told
which
y'all it was the
departed on the
planes.
morning of Charlie Kirk's assassination from Provo, went over to Wilmington, Delaware. We learned that regarding that hangar, Assass, which is a French company, injected $1.5 million ostensibly to paint planes, okay, in Wilmington, Delaware. A lease that is way too short for that, whatever. And they sign off on that the very week that I get sent this cease and desist, despite the fact that I hadn't been speaking about Brigitte. It was just weird, coincidental.
Thank you for the
timing.
Sundays.
It could be a coincidence. But I'm going to now test your resolve at home regarding French coincidences, because for me, it's a little too much, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences.
So we learned from a source that a foreign dignitary was escorted, right, from that hangar to 920 North King Street in Wilmington, Delaware, a place that we learned and confirmed had 3 federal agencies working together in one building. The internet can try to debunk that. They can't, okay? The feds are not going to debunk that because it's true. And then we learned that it is also a place which houses the attorneys that are filing my paperwork in the Brigitte lawsuit. I explained this. Delaware has a particular legal stipulation that even if you have your own lawyers, you have to find lawyers that will file the paperwork in your lawsuit, okay? The rules on that vary state by state. We then learned that Brigitte's lawyers in my lawsuit are directly across the street from that firm, okay? Confirmed. We're just warming up, though, because the person that leaks that information about the dignitary being escorted, remember, that person never insinuated that that the dignitary was French. But then, after people on the internet pretended that he or she was lying about that information, they decided to conduct further investigation. They watched the episode, and a light bulb goes off in their head because we're talking about Assass being French-owned, and the person decided to follow up and explain to us that France has effectively been running the streets in Wilmington, Delaware since like before the Revolutionary War. Okay? Let's just start with a very basic history recap from this person's email. It all checks out. We don't need to get too deep in here regarding Wilmington, Delaware.
Hub.
My energy bill dropped from $150 to $50 by doing this. My friends laughed at me when I spent $49 on a power saver device.
Partners, the foreign deals,
He
whatever.
or she writes a short version of the history, which is...
Hold on. It always seemed like they have a hub. So Delaware is the Macron'S hub where they traffic from the United States to where they operate out of in their foreign country. Just like once Egypt, Qatar signed on with Trump, he is building a Air Force base in Idaho. That's going to be their hub. So when she tapped into the Macron'S in Delaware, they operating out of Delaware. Now she's been advised that they have been pretty much running it on the cool, which is why they came to Delaware to file a defamation lawsuit against her. Yeah. That's where they negotiated that at and signed a 2-year contract. That's where they are trafficking out of, which is probably, I don't know, where her husband came from. Starting, remember, we got to pick back up on that. He didn't appear. There's no trace of him before 10 years old. So that's probably when he was trafficked.
Vary state by state. We then learned that Brigitte's lawyers in my lawsuit are directly across the street from that firm. Okay? Confirmed. We're just warming up, though, because the person that leaks that information about the dignitary being escorted, remember, that person never insinuated that the dignitary was French. But then, after people on the internet pretended that he or she was lying about that information, they decided to conduct further investigation. They watched the episode, and a light bulb goes off in their head, because we're talking about Satis being French owned, and the person decided to follow up and explain to us that France has effectively been running the streets in Wilmington, Delaware since like before the Revolutionary War. Okay? Let's just start with a very basic history recap from this person's email. It all checks out. We don't need to get too deep in here regarding Wilmington, Delaware. He or she writes, a short version of the history, which is all verifiable, is that North French Street is actually the northern stretch of the original French Street. Wilmington laid out the original French Street in the early 1700s as Willing Street in Thomas Willing's grid.
Flip mode.
In the 1790s, a large cluster of French-speaking refugees, many of which were fleeing Haiti and the French revolutions, settled along it, and the nickname French Street took over. This street ran all the way from the Christina River up through town and became a main hub for travel and business. Wilmington is more French than people would initially assume, and it's easy to see this once you look at its history. The north tag of North French Street is a later addressing convention for blocks north of downtown. So that's just to back up there, okay? Now, again, we're going to have to go through this class very quickly. America, the whole idea of what we learn in class about the Revolutionary War, and we were fighting because, we didn't, the monarchy, okay. England was not even under a monarchy at that time, okay? And also, I have learned in recent years that really the whole history of America is like warring factions of Freemasons. That's the reality. Warring factions of Freemasons competing for American territory. Now we're going to get into the substance of his email. He begins with something that is speculation that I'm not going to get too deep into, but essentially he says that across from 920 King, there is a red crane, and he's able to confirm that the French are absolutely involved in this somehow. I found direct U.S.-French alignment near 920 North King Street using structural aviation markers, financial lineage, corporate fronts, and historical French corridors. Now, he shows us that, this is across from 920 North King, and it starts with a huge construction site. There's a huge construction site right across from there, and there's a long red crane that he points out, and I'm going to show you that crane right now, because this person sent videos, because LOL to anybody who thought that we were being, that actually, I love it, because it pissed him off, and now he's really on the ground here. You can see that crane up there, and that's just a reference point to what he's speaking about, so that you can follow along here. That crane is 920 North King Street using structural aviation markers, financial lineage, corporate fronts, and historical French corridors. Now, he shows us that, this is across from 920 North King, and it starts with a huge construction site. There's a huge construction site right across from there, and there's a long red crane that he points out, and I'm going to show you that crane right now, because this person sent videos, because LOL to anybody who thought that we were being, that actually, I love it because it pissed him off. And now he's really on the ground here. You can see that crane up there. And that's just a reference point to what he's speaking about so that you can follow along here. That crane is situated on 1100 North King Street. Let's bring up the map here so you can see what's going on here, okay?
250 years ago, a promise was made. How we deliver has changed, but our purpose hasn't. It's the peace of mind knowing your love arrived.
What I found on 1100 North King Street is big. The actual building is called the Brace Bridge Complex. It spans over 1 million square feet. It seems it was originally built for the Maryland Bank as their bank headquarters from 1995 until 2006 when Bank of America acquired it. But in 2018, remember that's going to be the year that Macron comes to power, Bank of America pulled out of a few of the buildings and they left it completely empty. Here is an article showing you that that is true and that Bank of America did in fact pull out of that building. It leaves the Wilmington office space empty. He or she goes on to write, so you might be wondering what happened after it was left vacant. Well, in 2024, legislation was passed which would provide financial support to the Longwood Foundation, a philanthropic nonprofit that was founded by Pierre S. DuPont to make it function as a quote-unquote educational center. There's just one problem with that. Pierre S. DuPont was a member of the French-American family DuPont, which was descended from Pierre Samuel DuPont de Nemours, excuse my terrible French, a French aristocrat. DuPont also has extreme ties to both the American and the French military. Obviously, we know that, as they are the original manufacturers of Kevlar, which has been historically regarded as the greatest way to make bulletproof armor. So now we have this prominent French family connected to this building. I think you're right to keep looking at French. People even shared concerns about what was actually happening at that building. There was a resident named Miriam Deed who said, quote, I just feel like I don't understand why we're doing this without there being more accountability. So in 2024, and we can show you that article, he's telling the truth, we're fact checking that. People were like, what's going on in this like massive, what is the accountability here with this massive complex, okay? He goes on to say, as you can see, the complex covers 6 different buildings, all connected to both French Street. You can bring up that map, Chris, whenever, because I'm just going to keep speaking. All connected to both French Street and King Street. Okay? Now, people on X, he goes on, who were trying to pretend that this was some prank, said the FBI is actually at 500 Delaware Avenue, right? And 500 Delaware Avenue is a couple of blocks over. We can show you that on the map as well. Can you pull up 500 North Delaware? And that is also somehow owned by France. Why is the FBI in that building? Who knows? But also having a division inside of this building is true. He says that 500 North Delaware Avenue is a cover because guess what that building is? It's another bank center. This time, it's the Wilmington Savings Fund Society. In 1990, nearly all of Lower Delaware branches of WSFS were sold to Wilmington Trust, which was founded by T. Coleman DuPont, the French-American then president of DuPont, to manage the growing fortune of the French-American DuPont family. And guess where the Wilmington Trust is actually located? It's located at 1100 North Market Street, the building that is right next to 1100 North King Street, and both are on Rodney Square. So again, we're going back to that Rodney Square. Everything is French that's happening on Rodney Square. So they were using another bank as a cover. Doesn't actually disprove anything at all. What you'll also find if you keep researching is that a law firm, MG&M, moved to 500 Delaware Avenue just a few months before Charlie was assassinated. Now that could be a coincidence, but MG&M has many employees that are either fluent in French or are connected to France altogether. The FBI apparently has Suite 300 and MGM has Suite 200, which I believe is exactly right below where the FBI says that they are. Okay? Now he gets back into the crane location, right? Because there seems to be no public record of what the actual construction project is that is happening online, except for the fact that apparently a global biopharmaceutical company called Insight owns it, okay? If they're using this construction site, it seems to me that they're doing it to buy time, because I actually know they're using it to buy time because they claim that it's construction in this article. On May 2024, they say that construction is expected to take about a year. Okay, well, it's been over a year. It's been about 2 years. And by the looks of it, the entire top of that building being a skeleton tells me that it's probably going to be a few years after that as well. This is clearly not taking about a year. Also, guess who the longtime CEO of that biopharmaceutical company Insight was? Hervé Hopno. And guess what? He is also French. He's not just French, but he is a French national. He seems to have just exited as the CEO, but he is still running the company under the role of advisor to the CEO. He is directly responsible for this construction at Bracebridge, and he was the one that finalized the deal. I find it very strange how he ran this company for more than a decade, and for some reason, just a few months before Charlie's death, he decides to switch roles and to start laying low. Now, I'm not saying he's directly tied to anything. I'm just saying that these are all verifiable coincidences. Insight, that's the biopharmaceutical company that he runs, is also plugged directly into the federal medical supply chains, which include our VA systems that interface with military healthcare infrastructure. Okay. So, to pull us all together, we have an entire French street that is connected to 920 North King Street, the aircraft hangar and its company Assass, which is French-aligned, connected to 920 North King Street, DuPont, the French-aligned, connected to 1100 North King Street, the biopharmaceutical company Insight, which is also French-aligned, connected to 1100 North King Street, DuPont, which is connected to 1100 North Market Street, and then we have 1100 North King Street itself, which is connected to 920 North King Street. And we have my lawyers and we have Brigitte lawyers. I am not loving this, okay? I'm just not loving the fact that I get a call from the federal government asking me to stop speaking about Brigitte. And I think that it's kind of a funny story that'll one day be in my autobiography. Truly, that was my thought. Like, it's funny that we're on the phone talking about, like, the French, why is he married? And we have my lawyers and we have Brigitte lawyers. I am not loving this, okay? I'm just not loving the fact that I get a call from the federal government asking me to stop speaking about Brigitte. And I think that it's kind of a funny story that'll one day be in my autobiography. Truly, that was my thought. Like, it's funny that we're on the phone talking about, like, the French, why is he married to somebody born in a male? And I clearly was not thinking that there was maybe sort of an implicit threat involved here, like literally just stop speaking about her. And I really do wish, going back, that they had tried honesty, right? They had said, hey, Brigitte might be an asset to the Mossad, which is what we had received a tip regarding, that we were working on, confirming during Becoming Brigitte season 2. I wish they had been more explicit and said, we really actually need you to shut up about this forever. I probably would have done it if they were just honest and said it's a national security issue. But instead they went with Emmanuel Macron's feelings are hurt, which I thought was LOL funny, and obviously wanted to continue to speak about this. I don't even know what to make of this other than, and you can tell me if you agree, I feel like I was set up by the federal government in terms of this lawsuit. Like, this wasn't just Brigitte and Emmanuel sitting down making a mistake by filing this national lawsuit, but rather federal agencies which may have been colluding and speaking to one another about how to put an end to my research into who Brigitte was, because all of these governments are implicated, and by all of them, I mean France, the United States, and Israel, implicated in whatever the hell Jean-Michel Trogneux was up to during the missing years of his life when he was in the military and, on its surface, in America. Because Brigitte says he was in America. We know Brigitte was in America in the 60s, at least, for the moon landing. No details provided about what Brigitte was doing when he experienced the moon landing with Americans. I'm not getting the feeling that Jean-Michel Trogneau was just chilling at his aunt's house, okay? That was a psychological operation. I'm pretty convinced that Brigitte Macron has been involved on the basis of my lawsuit and the mentioning of MK Ultra 18 times absurdly in my lawsuit, even though all we said was, hey, Brigitte's fake birthday happens to be the same day as the MK Ultra program. I'm thinking there might be something there. Like Brigitte is involved in the military file, Jean-Michel Trogneau is involved in psychological operations, okay? And I should also mention to you that the second largest shareholder for Satis is Israel. Yeah, it's an Israeli firm based in Tel Aviv called Ace Partners. They are explicit. They only invest in companies and organizations that benefit Israel. That's like on their website. This is why we exist. Our mission with Ace is clear: to identify, invest in, and support the most promising startups that will shape the future of aerospace and defense technology, so it's military, and we focus predominantly on companies in their Series A and B funding rounds across aerospace and defense verticals. Our investments are global, with